Hey everyone, my name's Fletch. I go by Fletchies on BoardGameArena.com. Today I wanted to share a replay of a game that I played recently of Photosynthesis. So if you're here, I assume you at least are vaguely familiar with Photosynthesis. Um, but the goal of this video is just to kind of walk through some of the strategies that I think are important in the game, review how I played the game along with how some of my opponents played, try to identify where I may have gone wrong, for the purpose of my learning as well as maybe some of the people that are watching. I feel like competitive videos like this in board games are kind of rarer than I'd like them to be on YouTube, and I wanted to try making one. So here we go. Let's get into the game. So first off, all three players will be placing their starting two trees. This is a game played with heavy shadow, which means that seeds and trees can only be grown if they are in the sun. So Lost Lemming here is going to go first. He picks an edge spot. I'm still not 100% about the initial setup phase and how to handle it. I like the upper left corner because you get to score your trees at the end of the game in the upper left, which means that they're going to stick around until the very last turn, and they're guaranteed to be seeing the sun on the last turn, since the last turn of the game, the sun is coming from the top left. I also do actually like straddling the corner instead of taking it directly in the corner. And that's because initially you can go for the center much quicker. So kind of the key build pattern in Photosynthesis is you want to build a tree that is one away in two different directions, because then it will never block the light of your other tree. So you can have a corner, or you can have a tree here, and then also here, which is a very nice pattern, and it also lets you get to the center right away, because the first turn is always growing one of your trees to level 2. So anyway, that's probably a little bit too much to start off with. But this is, so I should mention that this game is maybe a month old, so it's kind of before I developed my strategy a bit further, and I was still taking corners at this point in time. So I do pick the opposite corner. I think the idea here was maximize the chance of how much space I can have to expand. And the third player then also picks a corner, and at this point he has to go next to somebody. Red takes another corner, farther away. There are kind of pros and cons about if you build right next to each other, you give yourself kind of your own segment of the board where people aren't going to mess with your build pattern, but at the same time, you might cut yourself off from expansion. I don't necessarily have a preference at this point. So I kind of basically mirror what red did, just take another corner, and then blue takes the last corner. And so you can see both red and I are going to have this kind of separate strategy, which might give us more space to work with, but then blue has this his own little zone, which lets him play nicely with his trees, where people aren't going to be blocking him quite as easily, at least in this segment that only he can get to initially. So Lost Lemming goes first. This turn is fairly boring. Generally, everybody's just going to grow a tree to level 2. Because it lets you build 2 away is the most important part of it, which lets you kind of do that L pattern that we talked about earlier, where your trees will not block each other. It'll also, of course, give you an additional sun on the next turn, as level 1 trees only get you 1 sun, level 2 trees get you 2 sun. So I'm going to be doing the same. It is worth noting, if I had an option that wasn't next to red's tree, I probably would have grown there, because then I have less opportunity to be blocked. But because both of my trees are adjacent to the one he grew, I don't have that option. Blue actually kind of doesn't matter what he picks almost, since he's not going to be adjacent to a level 2 tree at all. So, I mean, right off the bat, it seems like blue has a small advantage because of that. Worth noting that the first player also cycles between each turn. So red went first last turn, and then it cycles to me. So now I'm first this turn. Blue will go first in the next round, and between each round we gather sun. So this is important, actually, that I go first, because then I get first dibs over this spot, and this is a prime location, since it will never be blocked by either of these 2 existing trees, and that leaves red with probably this spot, and that gives me another expansion spot next turn that red will not be able to get to, since he still has a level 1 tree. So pretty important. I do still have 2 light. I don't remember if I actually do another seed. I do this game. Okay, so I'm still a little bit wishy-washy on that as well. I think because this this seed will have light next turn from the bottom right, and then also have light the next turn from the bottom left. It's kind of going to pay off. But then on this turn, I'm only going to get one tree, so it's it's basically like I didn't build a tree, as far as sun collection, at least, which, yeah, so I think this is a good spot, probably, to use the second seed. Okay. So now over to Pi, he's going to do something very similar. And, yep, just like we thought, red places a seed there. And so I will be going last next turn, which is quite important for red, because if I were going before him in the turn order, I'm going to use probably he a bunch. Sorry, opponents, if you're not actually he's. It's just sort of habit. So they're going to build. I'll make an effort. They're going to grow this tree before I get a chance to grow this tree. If I were growing first, they would not be able to grow it because they would be in shadow. But that's not the case. So go to the next turn. Everybody gets 3 more sun. You can see everybody else chose not to place another seed. I think maybe red should have. Oh, but okay. So jumping back to what we just talked about, blue will get to go first and grow this tree, which would have blocked red from growing the tree. So I think that's probably a smart call on red's part. So interestingly, blue just grows another level 1 tree. I am generally not a fan of that. They can't really access anything additional with that tree that they couldn't already access with this one. And growing this tree would have yielded the exact same sun count for the next turn. You know, it's 4 either way. So I'm not really sure what the thinking was there, but not something I would have done. So red buys a big tree, and are they going to grow another big tree as well? Yes. Okay. Same thing. I'm not really sure what the thinking is there. I mean, growing this tree is the same amount. This is already going to be blocked off. I'm going to take this turn 100% of the time. So I'm not sure what this extra growth really buys them, but maybe it will become apparent in time. So like I said, I think I just grow both of the little trees. Yep. Order is a little bit important here, just to make sure that the seed that I grow from goes back into my supply, though it's highly unlikely I will ever have more than 2 seeds or 3 seeds on the board at any given time, just because it's a 3-player game. So grow both my trees, get a seed. It's looking pretty good for me. I'm the only player that's actually getting 5 sun next turn. Everybody else is only getting 4. Okay. So red is first player this round. They really need to expand. I mean, they're going to grow this tree, but they're tight on space, right? Both blue and I are pinching them off in terms of space. Let's see where they try to expand. So they just expand toward the middle. And I mean, that's kind of their only option, right? It was one side of the middle, basically, where their only options. And this is going to be blocked by sun, or blocked by their own tree next turn, and then blocked by my tree on the following turn. And if I grow this tree, which I think there's a pretty good chance I will, then it'll be blocked on the following turn as well. So this is not a very good spot, but it's kind of their only option. So I think probably if they hadn't, I think growing to level 2 here was a mistake, like I said last turn, and expanding to here probably would have been better, because they could have, on this turn, maybe turned this into a level 2 and grown that. I'm not sure if they would have quite enough sun, but that seems like it would have been a better route. Anyway, let's not get too hung up on totally different alternate routes. And they also grow that, and that's, of course, a good decision. More sun. So I am going to build a level 2 tree here. Where do I think I'm going to build that level 2 tree? I mean, the benefit of building it here is, of course, that it will get sun next turn, where it wouldn't otherwise, because it can peek up over this one when the sun is coming from this side of the board. So I suspect I will probably build it there, but there's certainly something to be said for building it here and getting access to the center. But let's see what I do. Yep, I do go for sun. I think over time I have probably become less focused on maximizing sun and more focused on seizing board real estate. And I think in retrospect that is probably a mistake, and I should have grown this tree, since nobody else would be able to access the center before me. Since red can't grow this tree this turn, blue won't have enough to like make a level 3 tree. Yeah, I think that's a mistake because I think getting to the center here, given everybody is playing for these corner spots, the center is especially strong because you can see it plays nicely with this L-shaped pattern all the way around the board, and so the center is going to get sun a lot more frequently than if people were playing for these corner straddle spots, which you'll see in a lot of other games. So blue, loads of room to expand. He's in a great spot. Yeah, these are two prime locations that they'll be able to grow into trees and collect really consistent sun from. So I think I do definitely favor blue in this position still. Yep, and then they grow their last tree. So perfectly spend all their sun as well, which is always nice. You don't need to spend all your sun per se, but when you can, you're playing at kind of maximum efficiency. So I buy another medium tree. I suspect this time I'll grow this guy, which will get me access to the middle, but at this point it might be too late since, yep, I'm going first this turn. So going first this turn, it would have guaranteed me the middle, whereas blue should have time now to grow this tree and get to the middle on the following turn, which I suspect they will do. So I think maybe a game-losing mistake there. The first round of the game is hugely important for just grabbing different spots on the board. But maybe I can overcome that. So blue does grab a level 2 tree. You can see, just to kind of highlight, there's this replay down here. So it's not always obvious when people are buying trees, but you can see them do it down here. So anyway, spends 2 to grow the tree. Yep, exactly where we'd expect, which will get them center access on their next turn. Let's see what red does. They actually have enough where they could do a level 3 tree, which I think given what they have, a level 3 tree seems like a good idea. I would probably do it here, but a good argument for here too. I'm probably biased because this would block me and this would block blue. So they do buy a level, nope, they buy a level 2 tree. Okay. Yeah, I guess not a hugely significant decision. Either way, you're getting 1 additional sun, and you're not spending that extra 1 sun premium to get your 3rd level 2 tree. So it doesn't really matter too much at this point which one they decide to do. Crucially, because this is a weird decision on my part. Having 2 level 2 trees here, it means that they're going to block each other kind of regularly. I didn't even notice that I did that. I was just assuming that I would build this tree because it's the more open one that's going to get sun more frequently. So I don't know why I did that. I think that's just another little mistake on my part. Especially because it opened up to red blocking it, which I wouldn't have anticipated red to do this. I think if I were thinking about it, I would have thought they would have done a level 3, but in any case, did not pan out very well. So blue gets another seed, takes the middle, just like we thought. It's not very good for us. We really needed the middle this game, I think. And then they grow their last seed as well. So 6 prime locations for blue here. They haven't even needed to sort of take a mediocre spot at all. They've been able to get all the best ones, which is really good for them. Red finally able to grow their tree. If I were able to grow this tree, that would have prevented this growth another turn. So kind of nice for red a little bit that they get a chance to grow, but 4 trees is really not enough to be competitive in a game. They're gonna have to find another spot for a tree, and kind of all the good spots are mostly gone. That is another reason why the straddling corner option, it kind of uses more board real estate, just generally speaking. Like locking up the corners, people are gonna have to start taking mediocre spots. I mean, you can see every spot remaining on this board does not get sun from very many directions. If you build here, you're blocked twice, and you'll be blocked a 3rd time soon once blue starts growing in the middle. Same thing here, except it's already 3 blocks. This spot, you're blocking yourself is the other thing. So in addition to that spot not getting much sun, you're causing your other spots to get less sun. So it's kind of a double whammy in that way. All right, continuing on. So red got to grow their little tree. Now they're left with 5 sun, which they can't really do anything with. Okay, so they're just gonna try to expand a little bit more. But like we just discussed, when is this spot ever gonna get sun? It's actually blocked from literally every direction, right? Next turn, they're 2 tree. Next turn, 1 tree. Next turn, 2 tree. This spot will never have sun until somebody until somebody scores one of their trees. This spot will never get sun. So that is just not good. Yeah. All right. So I am one short of doing a level 3 tree. I assume that I will probably just do a level 1 tree here and pass. Yep, grow that last level 1, and yep, pass with 3 extra sun. So this turn I'm probably looking at growing this tree, just so that on the following turn I actually get to get sun from both of them, which is very nice. So let's see how this goes. Red, one short of doing a level 3 tree, probably just doing a level 2 tree on the one spot where they can. Oh, what did I miscalculate? Oh, they hadn't done any level 3 trees yet. I'm sorry. For some reason, I assumed they had already done one. So 7 was exactly enough to grow a level 3 tree. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I guess it may be worth noting that one thing that this does is it means that on the next time around, the last round of the game, they will be able to score this tree and grow this on the same turn. That doesn't really get them anything unless blue is doing the same at least 2 of these spots. So that's still not a very good spot for your seed still. All right, so I've got 11. That's quite a bit to work with. Looks like if this cancels his move, means that I started doing something, and then there's a redo button in this game where you can kind of restart your turn and try something else. So let's see, what do I think I'll do? So this is also 1 sun short from kind of the ideal turn, which would be a level 3 tree and a level 2 tree, because that's 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2, which would be 12. So I am probably, like I said earlier, just growing that. Let's see what I do. Yeah, buy level 3, grow, and pass with 4 extra sun. Pi, he's at that sweet spot where he could do exactly 1 level 3, but instead opts to, yeah, I guess with how many trees Pi has, they've got a lot of options, and they go for growing the middle tree. Once you're in the middle, you kind of got to prioritize growing it a little bit because it's the easiest spot to block the sun on later in the game. Less so in this game because everybody's doing the corner spots like we talked about, but yeah, that's an important thing to think about in other games. And then they float 4 sun. I'm now first. I've got a lot of sun to work with. Notably, I'm now no longer in that sweet spot because now I've got a 5 cost 3 tree instead of a 4 cost. So this might just be, I don't know, what do I do here? Yeah, grow it, just do the 1 level 2 that I can. And then I guess float 7 sun. That doesn't feel very good. Oof, yeah, I think that's a trap. Like that theoretically, if blue doesn't grow this tree, I can get 1 growth on this next turn. And then if I don't ever grow this tree, I can get a growth on it this turn. Or, in 3 turns, however many rotations that is. But again, this, we're really grasping at straws here. I think I might need to just settle for one of the outer spots. Like maybe I should throw a tree here, right? Because first of all, it's going to get sun next turn and the next turn, and it messes with blue a little bit. And I mean, somebody's got to kind of get up in blue's business and make it a little bit harder for them to just get this stream of points with how good their setup is. But I don't do that. So back over to blue, I'm floating 5 sun. Yep, they go for their first level 3 tree. Makes sense. And then grow a level 2 tree as well. So over to red, you can see that they just bought a level 3 tree. And this is, in my opinion, a pretty big mistake that I see people doing a lot. There's no reason, unless you're going over the 20 sun limit, which red is most certainly not, there's no reason to buy a tree in advance. They can just buy it next turn. It telegraphs your move, it limits your options on the next turn. Just really no reason to do that anyway. And then they do plant another seed. This isn't really a good spot. I keep saying that there aren't really good spots left. But if you're gonna try to go for a spot, you want to go for a spot where the sun is coming up on it. This spot is going to be blocked for the rest of the game, and well, not the rest of the game, but until the sun gets back around to here, so 5 turns, this spot will not get any sun. You know, it would have made a lot more sense to put the seed here, for example. That's at least getting 1 turn of sun before it gets blocked again. But I mean, these 2 spots really would have been the optimal ones to try to plant a seed. But obviously red can't reach those. But I mean, even putting one over here would have been better, right? Because this is coming up pretty soon as a spot that will get sun. All right, so moving along, pi is now first. You can see pi getting the most sun as expected. Gets a level 3 tree, and then grows here. It's kind of interesting. I would have thought they would try to build up their center more instead. I know that this is going to block some of my sun next turn, which is always good. You know, trying to deny your opponent's sun is nice. And I guess they have every opportunity to grow this tree on the next turn as well. So maybe there's not really a hurry in growing this tree just because of how limited everybody else is. The other consideration here is if you grew this tree, then that limits my option of growing right here behind your middle tree, which this tree, if it grows up enough, might start interfering with your ability to do things in the center. But just goes for the bottom right. Not a bad decision, but I'm not sure if I would have done the same. Yeah, good spot to grow here. Will block me next turn. This would have been the only other option, which doesn't have an immediate block and is, you know, more likely to get blocked in the future, whereas this one we already know next turn it won't be blocked, or the next turn, or the next turn. It would just be, you know, later on. So good strategy to grow the trees that the sun is approaching next instead of later. So I have enough now where I can do both a level 3 tree and a level 2 tree. I don't have anywhere to grow a level 2 tree though, so I'm probably just going to do a level 1. Yep, and then a level 3. Yeah, a bit unfortunate that both of the spots that I can build, well, not even both, all 3 of the spots where I can grow a level 3 tree will be blocked by one of my opponent's level 3 trees next turn. Not very good, but you know, still better to grow it now, because next turn I wouldn't be able to grow it at all because they'll be blocked, you know, and they'll be in shadow, which would prevent me from trying to grow. So moving along. Lost Lemming, 10 points to use. Yeah, I mean, the only thing they can really do is score a tree, but given their sun income is still sitting at less than 10, they should be waiting and, you know, accumulating sun until they would go over that 20 cap and then starting to collect. So this is a textbook beginner mistake, I would say, that you start scoring your trees before you're approaching that 20 cap, because they have now, not only have they spent 4 to get rid of this tree, they have now lost its income for the next turn, which would have been an additional 3. So they're going to be really struggling for points. This also, unfortunately, I will not be able to claim this spot, but this is a prime spot that I think blue is probably going to be claiming this turn. Let's see. And you cannot place, well, they can't reach it anyway, but you can't put a seed on the spot where you grew as well. So let's see. I think pivotally, I definitely want to not grow this tree, because that lets me grow this tree on the next turn, and getting another center tree big is a priority for me at this point. So let's see if I am smart enough to see that. Yes, I think so. So I just pass with 7 sun. Yeah, not really anything else I can do. Just waiting to grow that tree next turn. Yep, pi snatches that prime location. And they're going to be able to grow it very easily since nothing is blocking it. So very good for blue. Keep growing their center tree, also very good for them. And then you can see that they just, because they knew that, how much did they end their turn on? That doesn't say that in the log. I should have been paying more attention. But you can see they got right up to 20 points. And I know that pi is a very good player, so I suspect that they counted out how much sun they were going to get on this turn, knew that they wouldn't go over 20, so they were free to just pass without scoring any of their trees and you know, losing that extra income on the following turn. So I suspect they will do a score this turn, which I think I am also forced into doing. No, I've got 2 level 2 trees, so if I grew both level 2 trees, that would be 11. And then yeah, I wouldn't be going over 20 next turn. So I reckon that's what I should do. Let's see if I do that. So I buy 1 level 2 tree, grow that one. That's the obvious one. And then I do score that tree. Why do I do that? I guess I can grow this level 3 tree this turn, but I think that's a mistake. I'm losing out on income that I didn't need to lose out on. So yeah, I don't agree with that decision anymore. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only sort of payoff there is that I am preventing them from getting this to level 3 for 1 more turn. So, I can maybe hope that if red grows this tree, no, that's silly. They're always scoring this tree by the end of the game, since blue has these 3 corners of the board, which are the only things that would stop this from getting level 3. So they can finagle this such that this will always be scored. So big mistakes on my turn, I think. Pi can do the world with the 20 sun. Yeah, so they can start growing this tree up, and then I mean they can score this turn, but they probably don't want to. Well, I guess if you score the bottom right and then grow the middle is probably a good play. Let's see if yep, score the bottom right. They opt for growing the bottom right instead. I guess that's because my tree would block the middle next turn, so this is going to be more sun in the long run. Yeah, that is definitely better. I did not think that through. All right, and red is really out of the game at this point. They only have 3 trees. The seeds that they have sitting around are nigh impossible to grow with how many sides they're blocked on. I did by scoring this tree, that does help them a good amount with both of those seeds, but just not enough income or time for red to really get back into the game. So it is really just a race between blue and me. So 14 light points. They're still at that crucial marker where they can both they can score a level 3 tree, buy it back, and then grow it again. So the marker for that is 12, which is hugely important. 3 plus 5 plus 4. But given they also have this little tree, I think that they can even just sit with income. So if they spend 5 to grow this, they're at 9. And then the next turn, this won't score, but these two, oh no, yeah, they can definitely just grow this tree and then pass. That's probably the right thing to do. They get another seed. They're gonna grow the bottom right again. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I don't think this is gonna pay off. Because they're gonna be spending 5 sun just to get this to level 1. Given the number of trees they have, they're not going to score all of these, and I don't think there's a reason to go for that bottom right again. I think they should be in scoring mode at this point. But maybe I'm wrong. So red trying to get some more seeds. I'm gonna grow this to level 2, I'm sure. Yep. And then just pass from there since I'm not going over in anything. But yeah, I think I might have time to actually score all of my trees. I guess we'll see as the game progresses. So red, just gonna grow some more level 1 trees. They're kind of scrambling. That's gonna be blocked next turn by me, most likely. I wonder if scoring this one would have been better. No, I guess not, because this is the tree that I'm going to grow next. If I grew this tree, it doesn't get sun, so I want to grow this tree and get sun. So I'm not worried about letting red get a little bit of extra. So yeah, regrow it there. And yeah, that'll be it. So was I supposed to wait, though? Because I was only on 13 sun, and on the next turn, if I just waited, I would have gotten 8, because these are both blocked. But 3 plus 2 plus 3, so 8. I would have gone 1 over. That may have actually been better because now I'm only getting 6 sun next turn instead of 8. So -2 sun, which is more. I'm losing more by that than I would be by going over. And notably, if you are going over in sun by like 1, you just buy a seed because the tiebreaker in this game is trees on board at the end of the game. So if you're not, if you're one above a multiple of 3, that remainder point doesn't do anything. So you may as well grow a seed just to help with tiebreakers. Anyway, moving on, we got blue. And you can see that's, wow, I did not watch this game in advance, I swear, but blue literally just bought a seed and passed their turn and went to exactly 20. So perfect example of what I was just talking about. Blue very much knows what they're doing. Had an extra sun, so they went ahead and did that to not put it to waste. So now I'm only at 7. Nothing I can do with 7, so I just pass. Save up the sun, so that I can do a score grow play on the next turn. But blue obviously with way more trees than me here, so reaping in a lot more sun, a lot more options overall. I wonder if they put this seed down just to block me from getting this location because they knew that I was kind of starved. That's a real possibility, since it doesn't look like they're actually trying to grow it at all. Yeah, they're just growing their level 3. Makes sense. Red doing the same thing, except that red just scored a tree and now only has 6 left, which means they cannot place it again. So, again, red making the same mistake, I would say that they just lost potential income again for the next turn. And in this case, I think it's only 1 income because this level 3 was blocking their level 2. But regardless, no reason to give up that income. All right. So now I'm above that threshold where I can score, grow, or score, buy, grow. That's the right words. Blue, same thing. So score the bottom left. I'm not putting a bunch of time into kind of thinking through it, but it is really important the order in which you're scoring and growing your trees to make sure that the right ones are going to have sun. So I suspect given they just removed the blocker, they'll grow their middle tree and then score the middle tree on the following turn, because it's possible that red will not score this tree in the meantime, which would mean that your middle tree is blocked. And the same thing goes for my tree in the top left, is you want to score the trees ASAP that could be blocked. So yep, they grow the middle tree. Makes perfect sense. Red, yep, buys back their level 3 tree, and then they only have 1 spot they can grow it, and it's going to be blocked next turn. Does not feel very good, but you do what you got to do. So now to me, I'm in the same kind of boat as red, right? So this middle blue tree is doing a lot of work. So I can't grow this tree because it's in shadow. This is the only one I can grow, but it's going to be blocked. So I'm kind of sun starved in addition to being location starved. But because I'm in the top left, I do have a good angle going into the final turns. It's just, am I going to have enough sun to grow all of these? So score, buy back the tree, and then grow it. Only getting 5 sun next turn, which puts me at 8, which is not enough to do anything meaningful, whereas blue is still at that threshold where they can score by grow. It's huge. So I'm just going to pass. Yep. Blue correctly identifies this tree is going to be blocked next turn, so you want to score it now. Build this one, which will actually get sun. But yeah, and I guess they'll have to score this one next turn probably, in case red leaves theirs up, or me. I might also leave mine up. So yep, not much to think through there. I'm first player now, so I'm doing, of course, score, buy, grow. And you can see, I guess let's do a quick score check-in. You can see blue and I are both tied at 65. We each have 2 trees left to grow, but crucially, blue has had better sun production than I have this game. And at the end of the game, for each 3 sun you have remaining, you will get 1 additional point. So it is definitely looking like blue is going to win on those extra points. So let's get through those last couple of turns here. So blue, nothing to grow, but crucially, this tree will be blocked next turn if he doesn't score it now. And blue is a good player, and they realize that and score the tree accordingly. Red, unfortunately, they will not even be able to score this tree because it's going to be blocked by me, and I'm going last on the last turn. So unfortunate for red, but they're a good deal behind, so it wouldn't have actually made a difference in this game. Blue gets up to 92. It's also worth noting that because blue is going before me on the last turn, they do get an extra point from that token, so 13 versus 12. And the same thing happened on the previous turn where they got a 14 token, and I'll be getting a 13. So those are also two important end of game kind of tiebreaker mechanics. So red scores the last tree they can score, and then messes with their other trees. Doesn't make any difference. They're going to be in third. So, and then I do have enough to score my remaining two trees, but will see that that only gets me to 90 points, which is going to fall short of blue's 93 after the extra scoring at the end of the game. So, good game. Lots of potential mistakes from every player, myself certainly included. Definitely some things I would do differently with kind of what I've learned over the last month of playing this game. I hope that maybe you learned some things too from watching this, and I hope to do more of these in the future. So thank you, and cheers. Bye.